Welcome back, Tom Tribe. Very excited today. I have a very special guest in the studio with me tonight. He is a father, a husband, a Aggie, most importantly. He's been a past roommate to me. He's been a groomsman in my wedding, and he is one of my best friends. He was born a West Texan, but now calls the Austin area his home and is currently serves as a superintendent with Harvey Cleary here in Austin. Please give a warm Texas welcome to Mr. Kyle Muennink.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Very excited to have you on the podcast, man. Welcome
Excited to be here.
Welcome to Texas on My Mind.
Yeah, this is awesome. I love the setup. And
Yeah.
Excited to be sitting here.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, I appreciate that you accepted my proposal to come on and be technically, I guess, my first guest.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
Cool.
So I know that you know this, but our audience doesn't know this yet because this is the first time we're doing the host guest podcast. But we are having a cocktail of the episode. So I always give our guests the opportunity to select what type of refreshment that they would like to have on the podcast. And Kyle is a tequila man. Yeah. So, which, I don't believe we have sodal in Texas, but Mexico, there's bits of it that were basically part of Tejas, back in the day. So we'll consider that part of the Texas on My Mind experience. But we are making the official drink, probably of South Texas. We have some ranch waters with us today. Yeah. So what a ranch water consists of, and if you're not aware, it is a probably 3 or 4 parts tequila. It's pretty much
depending on who's making it.
Yeah, depending on who's making it and where you get it. A little bit of Cointreau or Grand Marnier, whatever your fancy is in terms of orange liqueur. Lots of limes, and this little baby, Topo Chico mineral water.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open this Aggie style.
That's right.
For the audience. We're going to pour this baby in. You're supposed to pour it to the top. Ooh. That's where the bubbles come in. Man, that sounds good. Perfect.
Awesome.
Cheers, man.
Yeah. Salute.
Let's get it going.
Thanks for having me.
All right, absolutely.
Cheers.
All right. So, Mr. Muennink, you, like I mentioned before, hail from West Texas originally. Where in West Texas? Maybe kind of set the scene for us. Tell us a little bit about where you were born and raised and what that was about.
Yeah. I was born and raised in Lubbock, Texas. West Texas or Panhandle, or depending on how technical you get,
Gotcha.
Kind of upper Panhandle, West Texas, flat and dry, and the wind blows, and not a ton going on up there.
They call it level land out there, right?
Or level land's right outside of Lubbock,
okay,
actual place. So any James McMurtry fans of the song Level Land, it is an actual place right outside of Lubbock.
I guess that's why they call it that.
Yeah,
very flat.
There's probably a million jokes about like if your dog runs away, you can still see it 3 days later.
Oh,
So
really?
there's all this ridiculous stuff, but
it's a West Texanism. Huh?
Yeah, West Texanism.
I like it.
But yeah, I was born and raised there. My mom was a kindergarten teacher. My dad was a large animal veterinarian. Just kind of a normal middle class family upbringing, I would say. Spent a lot of time like outdoors. Kind of some of my early memories are like summers with my dad, out like doing manly stuff, like castrating
working
bulls.
in the shed.
Yeah. Like vaccinating horses. I mean, doing things while other kids were like out at, some fun summer camp. I was like forced to work, like digging post holes and stuff.
There you go.
it was
Builds
very
character.
Yeah, it does. Very much
good.
like work before pleasure. But my parents got divorced when I was pretty young. Spent a lot of time with my grandparents. They were kind of like my second parents of sorts.
Gotcha.
My grandfather was a rancher in West Texas and parts of New Mexico. Spent a ton of time with them. Was I was an only child. I feel like matured early in a lot of ways, like forced to grow up kind of.
Okay.
As kind of like an only child and spending a lot of time with someone 3 times your age and, just listening to conversations and kind of hanging out with the old timers, as they say.
Yeah.
Which kind of will come up later on, but I feel like my youth was like very much like only child, mature early, work hard, always before any kind of fun, things like that. Which did, like, looking back, built a lot of character, like you were saying, like work ethic and responsibility. Kind of in my later years, which I'm sure we can share stories about, like teenage years, kind of resurfaced as I matured too early, so now I'm gonna rebel.
I see. Yeah.
But other than that, like, kind of a normal, just like what I'd consider like American boy, playing football in the front yard and riding go-karts and pretending like I'm Troy Aikman and
I like
just whatever.
There you go. There you go. Okay. So yeah, and obviously I can understand, being an only child. I'm not an only child myself, but I feel like it can go one or two ways. You can be either very spoiled and become very self-centered because you're just, given all this attention and, almost given everything, because you're the one and only, or you can be, like, to your point, really given a lot of responsibility, mature quickly, and it sounds like that's kind of, you went on the latter side of it.
Yeah. No, my parents did a great job. I wasn't, I guess, too spoiled, even though I was an only child. Like, taught a lot of responsibility, but
gotcha.
When you're alone, you kind of are forced to do it a little bit too.
Oh,
like,
right.
You're in the front yard, like,
a lot of imaginary games.
If your friends aren't over, you're the quarterback and the wide receiver.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So,
a lot of wall ball, maybe.
Yeah, wall ball. Yeah, one person games.
Yeah.
I
gotcha.
But like always encouraged to be outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was very much like it was a safe place growing up in Lubbock. It was, you get on your bike and you go to your friend's house and be back before dark, kind of thing. Like,
that's good. That's good. So growing up, this is the 90s, right? 90s, early 2000s when you grew up, and I can imagine, obviously, yes, to your point, we didn't have all of the, distractions we have now. People were, it still was that kind of culture where you knew where everybody was, because the bikes were in front. I know it's probably a little bit different where you grew up because, where in Lubbock, like, did you grow up on a farm? Did you grow up? I know obviously it's a big agricultural area. Like, tell me a little bit about, like, the neighborhood you grew up in, what that was like.
I grew up in, like, Southwest Lubbock.
Okay.
I grew up in Lubbock. I mean, for lack of better terms, I was kind of like a city boy, but then would spend weekends and summers like away. But it was a neighborhood, like, normal middle class, like master planned community kind of thing. So it was very much, like, you get on your bike, you go to your friend's house, you ride down to the golf course and you cause trouble and you do the typical things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and I've been to Lubbock a few times. It's been a while since I've been there. But from what I remember, it's pretty hard to get lost in Lubbock for a strange reason. Could you elaborate maybe on what I'm
It's hard to get lost.
To?
Yeah. There's a highway that's literally a giant circle that they call the loop.
Okay.
And then within that and out of it now, is every road. It's the best if you fly into Lubbock at night.
Okay.
Because you can see it. It's a perfect grid.
Perfect grid.
And every road that goes north and south is alphabetical ordered with a name, and then every road that runs east-west is numbered, and it's numerical order.
Beautiful.
So it starts with 1 and goes all the way through. I grew up on 85th Street.
There you go. 85th and Avenue what?
85th and Frankfurt, pretty much.
Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't get one of the Avenue A, B through
Yeah,
Z.
not the Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That is just,
so
I know that's like so simple
It's
a
so
concept,
simple.
but to me, who, the only time I've been to Lubbock, and I can talk about this story later, there was drinking involved. So being able to know, okay, I'm at 84th Street and Avenue F, and I need to go to 78th Street and Avenue G.
Yep. I know
It makes
exactly
it pretty
which way to
goddamn
go.
easy to figure out where you're going and
Yep.
which way you need to head.
Yep.
So
And
I don't know why other cities don't take that on. I mean, that's what it needs to do.
It's really easy. It doesn't give a
Yeah.
There's not a lot of beauty to it, but
I mean,
all the roads are straight and flat.
it just makes complete sense to me
Yeah.
that you would do that. And again, especially the people that aren't locals there that come and visit, you always know where you are.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
It's pretty simple.
That's amazing.
But yeah. Grew up playing sports.
Yep. What was the
Mainly football.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was
I
football.
was
kind of
terrible
king.
at other sports. I played soccer as a little kid.
Okay.
And then I played t-ball and I struck out
Oh my God.
and never played. I didn't even play baseball. I played t-ball. Never played any kind of baseball again.
There you go. Striking
Football
out in
was kind
T-ball
of the
would shatter my dreams as well to become the next Juan Gonzalez or Pudge Rodriguez. Right?
yeah that dream faded quick for me.
I gotcha. So you played
football was kind of the thing.
Okay, made it to football.
Started like first grade flag, fourth grade tackle.
Yep.
Kind of back to like the maturing rate thing. Growing up, we were our neighborhood team, and then leading into junior high team, we were like phenomenal at football. I don't even know how, but we never lost a game until I got to high school.
Oh dang!
So when we went into high
you
school
had the class
and lost our first game, we were like kids were like crying. I mean,
Yeah.
I never took it quite that serious,
Right.
but we literally didn't know what like losing a football game was.
Wow.
It was kind of funny.
So
but
you're
anyway,
just
those are some
born
stories.
to win, right?
I guess, or lucky or something.
And
I
it
don't
was okay. So you guys did flag football. Then you did what? Did you do like 6-man or
know. No,
you
it was
went
full,
right into 11
yeah, 11
man
on 11
football?
on. Yeah. No, it was 11 on. I'm now that you asked that, I'm pretty sure it was 11 on 11. It might have been like 7 on 7 or something as flag.
Okay.
But fourth grade then was full tackle.
Because
like
we
full
did
pads.
that too.
So
Where
I
I
don't know
grew
what
up
they do now,
in
but-
kind of the North Dallas area, or kind of where I originally lived up until 8th grade. But my brother, after we moved, went until like I want to say like 6th or 7th grade. They were like 6-man football.
Huh.
But we went straight 11-man
Yeah.
right away and full tackle.
I don't think
So-
they do tackle now until like 6th or like 7th grade.
the
or
good old days are
Yeah,
just far
the good old
behind
days,
us, right? Okay, golly. Okay, so did you grow up a Texas Tech football fan, or I know you had family that were Aggies.
Yeah, so
okay?
my both my parents were Aggies. My grandfather was an Aggie, so I was very much raised an Aggie. Like
Yeah.
every year, I'd go down to College Station with my grandfather and go see a football game.
There you go. Okay.
So I was raised an Aggie. I would go to the Tech games.
Yeah,
All of my
yeah.
friends were Red Raiders.
I was gonna say,
But I was brainwashed early. I was very much an Aggie fan all along. So destined to go to
you
College
didn't get
Station.
sucked into the red and black.
Did not get sucked into the red and
Okay,
black.
you were
No.
not bringing tortillas into the stadium to haul out
That
there.
probably didn't help. Is like going to games as a kid and getting
Yeah.
heckled by the Red Raider fans, and you're like
Yeah.
10, and
Exactly.
you're like, what in the world?
You just
is
happen
going
to
on?
be wearing a maroon shirt because your family's big Aggie fans, right? And just getting that. I mean, that was kind of my experience. I feel like with the very first time I went to Lubbock was when I was a freshman at A&M, and of course. I'm trying to like keep under the radar because I've heard Texas Tech fans
it gets
are
rowdy.
not as friendly as say some of the other schools we play, like a Baylor.
Not very hospitable.
Yeah. So I think I was wearing just like a white A&M polo.
Yeah, not even wearing maroon.
Teeny tiny A&M logo.
Right.
But what's funny is, so that year I was a freshman. We lost, and I just got creamed. You know, just like absolute heckled, destroyed. I don't even think I went to the game, but just being around the stadium.
Right.
The other time I went to the game, we won, and everybody was so nice. It was so funny how, you guys lose, Red Raiders take an L, and you guys are real hospitable in Lubbock. After that.
I don't remember a game they were hospitable, but
I don't know. It was later in the Aggie Big 12 era.
Okay.
So there you go.
There was, I forget what year it was. We were, I guess we were ranked pretty high or low, I guess, however it's referred to. And Tech beat us in Lubbock. And that was the year they tore down the goalpost and rammed it up into the stands. I don't know if you remember that.
I think so. Yeah.
And I was literally at that game, like watching that. So I'll look it up.
That just like really, put the
it kind of
extra heat in.
It kind of developed a little bit of an animosity towards Texas Tech and probably Lubbock in general. But
I gotcha. Okay, so you're growing up in enemy territory. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Coronado High School.
Coronado High School.
Kind of the,
Is that that's pretty much like the main high school?
That's one of the that's the main high school. Everyone from kind of southwest Lubbock goes to either Coronado or Monterey.
Okay,
there's Lubbock High and also Estacado.
Okay.
And then there's some out schools kind of right outside of Lubbock, Friendship and Cooper.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that kind of we know and go around or mostly went to Coronado.
Gotcha.
The Mustangs.
Coronado Mustangs. Okay.
Kind of the same thing, like normal, what I would call normal upbringing.
Very classic, traditional.
Playing football, kind of the old school way, I guess. As things change a little bit. Some great coaches. Kind of old school. Like we had something called Mustang Makers in the spring.
Okay.
Which was essentially like a 2-week long like hell. It was like Hell Week
Mustang
essentially
Makers.
for
2
football,
weeks of hell.
where all the seniors that were going to be graduating and just finished their season. This was in the spring.
Okay.
So they had finished their season. They got to haze everybody.
Oh, really?
and like in practice.
Yeah.
While coaches like didn't know that it was going on or didn't condone it.
This was after their football season.
They're done. Yeah, they're done. So they finished the fall. Mustang Makers is in the spring, right when you come back from the break. And so they get to let off all their testosterone on all the underclassmen.
So every single underclassman, freshman, sophomore, junior.
Well, in Lubbock then, you didn't go to high school until you were a sophomore. So high school was, we did junior high.
Yeah.
We didn't do middle school.
Right.
So junior high was 7th, 8th, 9th.
Got it.
And then 10th, 11th, 12th was high school.
High school.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you were a sophomore, junior.
So let me get this straight. So they finished their season. They still give a shit. And if you got to be a part of this, like, that's awesome. Because we had something similar in Highland Park, and I did not get to it was banned by the time that I got my chance. But they finished their season.
Yep.
And then they get to come back in the spring and haze not only the sophomores, but also the juniors as well.
Correct.
So you get 2 years of Mustang Makers.
Yeah, 2 years of Mustang Makers.
That's ridiculous. That's incredible.
Yeah. So you grow up being dominant at sports.
Yeah.
You go into high school. You actually start losing games because you're playing the mojo of Odessa Permian and teams that were far superior to us.
Yeah.
And then you get to lose a bunch of games.
Yeah.
finish your season, come back as your last semester of high school.
Yeah.
Get your whiskey and Coke in your Sonic cup.
Yeah.
During
you
school.
Could care less about high school.
Oh yeah, so don't care about anything.
You're ready to go to college. Probably a lot of your colleagues, your students were probably just going to stay right there and go to tech, right?
Yep. And you've got like 2 classes and or you got 2 or 3 classes. 2 of them are the coaches teach anyway.
Oh, right. So like attendance is optional.
Yeah. So you get your Sonic whiskey Coke or whatever your mixer is that you stole from your parents' liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
And you sit out there and you gather a bunch of cow manure.
Okay.
And
cow
rotten
chips.
milk. Yeah. And whatever, and you put it like in the tires that they have to flip, and you dump it in like the sand where they do the sand running and push-ups and all that, and you haze all the younger.
So very, very like dazed and confused.
Very dazed and confused. I like there were there was paddling too.
There was also paddles.
That was after school.
That came later.
That was after school. Yeah.
That was off property. Okay?
Off property. Yeah.
I like it.
It was funny. Like the coaches, didn't quote unquote condone it or allow it, but they completely turned a blind eye to
by obviously the coaches, the administration, and probably the community itself.
Oh, completely.
There you go. Maybe supported even.
Oh yeah, very much supported.
Building character in Lubbock County. Yeah. I like it. Very cool.
So not condoning it again. There's probably a lot of lessons that I think that I learned from it.
Sure.
But nobody from our group ever like got hurt or anything like that. It's all in good fun in my thought, but very, very old school.
Yes.
You'd go through that all week, and then our head coach was also the Sunday school teacher at the Baptist church.
Okay.
So you go through a week of hazing, and then if you're not at Sunday school on Sunday morning,
there you go.
Then you were
to that.
then you were in trouble and would have to run laps or whatever on Monday morning. So it was just
very intertwined, faith, family, community, and Mustang football.
Football. Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned that all the seniors, they showed up with Sonic cups, whiskey Cokes. Where did they get this whiskey? Because from my understanding, Lubbock County was a dry county for the longest time.
So you either stole it from your parents.
Okay, that's the first place at high school.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I would look.
Or you would pick up one of your friends that was at Tech. It was a year or 2 older.
Gotcha.
That probably wasn't even 21. It had a fake ID.
Right.
So you'd drive from Southwest Lubbock all the way to Northeast Lubbock to pick up your friend at Tech.
Okay.
And then you drive all the way to Southeast Lubbock, which was called the Strip back then.
Okay.
It was right outside the city limits on Interstate 27, which was really Highway 84. And there was just a run of liquor stores that all had neon signs, and they called it the Strip, like off of like Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Strip.
literally.
So you drive down there,
like driving into Reno, Nevada.
Yeah,
or something like
you would
that.
get your friend to buy you your 30-pack of Keystone or whatever you were getting.
Gotcha.
Then you would drive him all the way back to Tech, and then back to Southwest Lubbock. So this was like an hour-and-a-half trip to get a case of beer or whatever you were doing.
Even beer.
Yep.
We're not talking liquor. We're
not
talking
even liquor. Beer,
wine,
everything.
Anything.
Yep. Dry.
Seems
dry
very, I imagine DWIs were rampant. Or maybe
probably
people maybe not so, because people, if you can wait a 30 to 45-minute drive, or if you can drive out there to get it, you can wait 30 to 45 minutes to
get all the way back
before you get back, right?
I don't know. I don't see if there's any self-incrimination here. You were talking about the street steal.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it's pretty easy to have drinks and get to where you need to go in Lubbock, Texas. I'm just going to say that.
There you go. And I feel like that's with most college towns, right?
Yeah.
It's very, and this is obviously pre-Uber and all that jazz.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't imagine there being a very lucrative taxi company in Lubbock.
No.
I mean, just when I moved to Austin here, like there was not more than probably 10 cabs in this damn town.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so let's just say it was probably tolerated and people just knew how to get around.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, not
Good to hear.
condoned, but everyone just it was just kind of what you did.
I like it. I like it. You got any varmints in Lubbock?
lots of
What kind
prairie
of,
dogs.
Yeah, what kind of varmints?
You ever seen a prairie dog?
What kind of varmints you guys got?
You ever gotten a prairie dog town?
I've never seen one like in the wild, but yeah,
high school.
What are they called? Sod poodles?
Sod
Or
poodle.
the Amarillo sod poodles?
The sod poodles, the amateur baseball team in Amarillo. Yeah, we would load up our pickup full of the case of Keystone that we just drove an hour and a half to get.
Keystone
And
Lights.
you would grab your 22 and you'd drive around in the old dirt roads and shoot at prairie dogs and coyotes and
That's
stuff
what.
like
Okay,
that.
so
that was what you did on the weekends. Like
that was the.
there wasn't a lot to do there.
Those were the steady local wildlife, the varmints in Lubbock, were
varmints.
prairie dogs, coyotes.
Yep.
I'm sure you had an armadillo or two.
Armadillos,
right? I mean,
yep.
especially in West Texas. What else? From a wildlife perspective, or like very unique to the Lubbock area or West Texas in general.
Yeah. The bird migration runs like really heavy through the Panhandle, actually.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I grew up hunting with my grandfather. We would like go turkey hunting and deer hunting. Truthfully, I never really got like heavy into the outdoors in terms of hunting until like college age.
Yeah.
Kind of really became like a hobby that I like honed in on and really started to enjoy, which I kind of going off track, but spend a lot of time doing now. But to answer your question, like the Canadian geese fly through that area, real known for geese, a lot of geese. Sandhill crane, the ribeye of the sky.
The ribeye of the sky. That's right.
A lot of like upland game, like quail and pheasant. So the bird hunt, a lot of dove in that area. The bird hunting's phenomenal.
Yep.
There are white-tailed deer. It's not as heavy of a population as like South Texas or Central Texas that you see. There are mule deer, which is kind of unique to the western part
I would say
of the state, which is really cool and fun. If you get north enough, like closer to Amarillo, you start seeing wild antelope.
Oh, wow.
Things like that.
Bison.
Pronghorn.
Yeah, pronghorn.
Antelope. So, it's really cool. Like a lot of people don't think of like the wildlife being as diverse. A lot of ducks as well.
Right.
Up in that area. But if you really get like outside the town and get in some of these wild, just open, they call it like big country. I mean, just wide open spaces. There actually is a lot of wildlife. I wish I would have spent more time doing productive hunting instead of like trying to be semi sober enough to shoot a coyote while we're driving down the dirt road or something.
Coming from a pasture party or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I totally blanked on the whole birds aspect of it. Obviously, mule deer is what I think of, just when I think of West Texas in general, right? Just very unique to that area. They're humongous deer.
Yeah.
They look like cows.
They're almost like cows.
I mean, you've sent me pictures, and I have friends in the area that send me. I'm like, how is that a freaking deer? Man? It looks like a cow, like a gray cow grazing with horns.
Literally.
I mean, I can understand that. Especially the geese population. You have these massive fields, right, that they're flying into, and I've never been, goose hunting or pheasant hunting myself, but sounds like something that's very lucrative and very fun to do in that area.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
With them coming through, very migratory animals, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. So they call Lubbock, what do they call it? The hub city?
The hub city. Yeah.
Why do they call it the hub city?
That's a good question. It's really, I think it's because like the university was there. There's a pretty decent healthcare system in that area as well. And it's like the only thing, and it's an agricultural hub.
Yeah.
But really the only town or, close to there is
in like the plains
hours away.
Yeah.
You go north to Amarillo, which is smaller than Lubbock by population. You go south to Midland, Odessa, but everything's 6 hours away. Is
Right.
they joke.
Exactly.
I mean,
so it all just kind of
Fort
the
Worth,
main
Dallas
hub.
is 5 hours.
Yeah.
Austin is 6 hours.
Yep.
I mean, everything's it's a hub of that area.
I like it. So I have I did a little research actually for this podcast, and I bet you didn't even know I have a little hidden compartment right here where I wrote down I wrote down some cool facts about the LBK. So
yeah, I might learn
I think
something
here.
here.
I think the number one fact that most people know Lubbock for is it's the birthplace of Buddy Holly.
That's right. Yeah.
Is there a statue to Buddy Holly in
There
Lubbock?
is a statue.
Where is that?
There's also a statue of his glasses.
No way.
Outside
The full on, like,
they
how
are
large
like-
are these things?
They bigger than this set we're sitting
Really?
in. Yeah, they're massive.
I mean, that's what his signature look was.
Yeah,
I
what were
mean,
they? What were they called? Wayfarer glasses or whatever.
Yeah, they were the big brims, right?
Yeah, big thick brims
that,
of the
that stood
50s.
out. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know Buddy Holly, he unfortunately died in a plane crash. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
But was a huge rock and roll star in the 60s, 50s,
Yeah,
60s?
50s, 60s.
There you
Yeah,
go.
he was kind of.
But he was from Lubbock, Texas. The reason why Lubbock is called the hub city is exactly to your point. It's the economic, education, and healthcare center of the South Plains area.
Okay.
So I think you nailed that pretty well. Education wise,
all three. I think.
economic, healthcare, right? Here's a cool fact for you. There are more music venues per capita in Lubbock than any other Texan city.
Oh.
So it has more music venues to the population than any other city in Texas.
Wow, I did not know that, especially being in Austin, because Austin's the live music
You would
capital
think,
of the world.
You would think Austin would have, I think obviously, different per population size, but
yeah.
if you think about it, I mean, there is a lot of, especially Texas country artists.
Oh, absolutely.
That either kind of got their roots by going to Texas Tech. You have, I want to say, Pat Green.
Yep.
I believe was a Texas Tech Red Raider.
Yep.
Corey Morrow. I know Josh Abbott was.
Yep.
William Clark Green, I believe, was.
I think you're right.
I could be wrong completely on a lot of these.
No,
but
I think William Clark Green was too.
Was a Texas Tech Red Raider.
It's funny you were saying the deal about Buddy Holly, and I was kind of thinking about the music of Lubbock. A lot of people just they kind of gloss over it, but it actually is a huge kind of music hub. And
it really is.
when you kind of like dig in introspectively, a lot of people think like because it's so like desolate, and just plain and just isolated, and like there's just, for lack of it, there's just not a ton up there. It actually kind of fosters a lot of that like creativity and a lot of like really known artists, mostly music, but other arts as well. Are kind of from Lubbock or from the like Panhandle area.
Absolutely.
But there's fantastic music. Like a lot of times when we go back, my wife Charlotte and I will always like go out to a coffee shop or a bar, and we always walk out of there going, "Who was that?" Like they were fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
And it's some no-name person that's just open mic with their acoustic guitar, and they're phenomenal. So it actually does have a lot of really good music up there.
Obviously, you got a lot of music venues up there, so probably gives a lot of stage time to these coming up guys,
up and coming
men and women that whether they be, obviously you got to say country music has to be king.
Country is
country
predominantly
is king in Texas in general, right?
Yeah.
But probably a lot of experimental type of music as well, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
Right? So
I remember like as a kid, you first listened to all the like radio pop, you're listening to the Backstreet Boys and all that stuff. And then your kind of taste evolves. And I remember like being really into like the pop punk and
I
like the
know,
Blink
right?
182.
I mean, who wasn't,
And that was like
right?
huge in Lubbock, and there were all kinds of
Yeah.
venues.
That was
And
just
then
big in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah, it
with
was-
our generation.
Yeah, with
right?
our generation.
You got the Simple Plan.
Yeah.
Blink 182 was obviously, in my, I think we were a little. I think I was a little too young to like really dive into Nirvana.
Yeah, I was a little young
You
for
know,
Nirvana. I
Bowling
like
for Soup, which
Bowling
is
for
a
Soup.
Texas band. By
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
They're I think most of them were born in the Dallas area, but they're from Texas.
huge
that area.
Warped Tour.
Warped Tour. Vans Warped Tour. Yeah.
I remember I was like real into like the pop punk and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, his dad would always take us down to New Braunfels in the summer, and we'd go to Schlitterbahn. And I remember we stopped at this random gas station. I don't even know what town we were in.
Yeah.
And his dad, who was a musician, phenomenal musician in Lubbock, Jerry Slater, we went into this gas station. He was like, "Oh, hell yeah." And remember when they'd sell CDs at the register in a gas station?
Yeah.
And it was Pat Green live at Billy Bob's.
Oh, wow.
And his dad,
Classic.
Jerry, he was in the same dorm room with Pat Green and
No
Corey
way.
Morrow and all those guys, and would
No
play guitar
way.
with them. And he saw the Pat Green live at Billy Bob's, and he thought he made it.
He's finally
made
He's
it.
in a gas station.
And he
on the
bought
side
that
of the road.
CD, and he stuck it in his truck, and we listened to that damn CD
Heck yeah.
all the way to New Braunfels and all the way back.
Oh, I bet.
And looking back, like that was kind of the moment I really started getting into like
it, yeah.
actually getting into more music
Yeah,
and not just
yeah.
listening to what's on the radio
Yeah.
and like really appreciating like
Yeah.
country type genres and like Americana and all that.
Yeah, that is actually really interesting because I feel like Pat Green was actually what got me into country music as
Really?
well. And what's funny is it had nothing to do with me hearing a song of his or something like that. It just so happened I was in high school, and I guess he just started getting big.
Yeah.
And he had a really damn cool T-shirt. His tour,
The
whatever
brand with the Texas flag. Yeah.
that's exactly what you know exactly what I'm talking
If
about.
you didn't have
And
a Pat
every
Green
single
shirt.
kid, it had to be either 9th or 8th or 10th grade for me, which was like had to be like 2003, 2004. Every single kid that like I thought was cool, or like the football team,
Yeah.
the seniors, everybody had that
Had
Pat
that
Green
shirt.
tour shirt, wave on wave,
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, who the heck is this Pat Green guy? And so I started getting into him. And then it, eventually I feel like got into more of the classics at first. So like the George Straits
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
Alabama
Oh,
was my,
phenomenal.
that's what like really launched me into Song in the South.
Yep.
You want to play in Texas, you got to put a fiddle in the band. I mean,
Yep.
that's what launched me into my country music journey, if
Yeah,
you will.
that's
But Pat
awesome.
Green started it, and if I ever meet him, I'll have to tell him.
Yeah.
that
Pat Green will be on here one
whoever
day.
made that shirt, he
Whoever your
killed it.
marketing guy
Absolutely
was.
killed it.
It's
Absolutely
probably one of
killed
his
it.
buddies that just
Yeah.
sketched something up.
That is
Like,
so amazing, though, that your buddy's dad,
Yeah.
was he got the front row experience.
Yeah, it was
and I feel
cool.
like there were so many of those guys that came out of Texas Tech
Mm-hmm.
and Lubbock, right? That they just started playing these little, these little bars, right,
Yep.
around the college or whatever, or open
Yeah.
mic nights. We kind of got a little bit of that experience from you and I were at A&M too,
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit. But none of them, I feel like, were our age.
Right.
They were, I saw Corey Morrow, in fact, on an open night or a acoustic night or unplugged, right? But, obviously a little bit older than us. But I never got to experience anybody start, that was probably like a student there with us and
Right,
launching
right.
into fame. So I bet
yeah,
that
we
was
were
an
like
incredible experience.
we were like I don't know, 10 years
We're
or
just a
10,
little
15
bit,
years
yeah.
or so behind that, like
yeah.
that big, like red
The
dirt
real-
Texas
I
country
know.
push that went through. But
CCR and
Oh, yeah.
that whole crowd. So that's amazing.
yeah.
Well, This is also okay. This is the last fact.
What's
I have
your
here.
last fact?
This was actually probably the most eye-opening to me.
Oh, okay.
So it might not be to you, but I'm thinking.
I didn't know the live music thing.
So supposedly, Lubbock has award-winning wineries.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In the area, like very, very top of the line award-winning wineries, and 80% of the Texas wine grape crop is produced in Lubbock.
Yep.
80%.
I didn't know it was
Not
80%.
Fredericksburg.
Yeah, I didn't know
you
it was
would think.
80%, but I
Yeah.
knew it was high.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. It's kind of funny because the vineyards and wineries that are
Yeah.
in and around Lubbock, they export all their grapes like into Fredericksburg and these other reasons, and they probably make more revenue based on the exportation of their grapes than their actual wine that they make themselves.
Oh, I believe it.
But it's something about the and I don't know a lot about this, but something about the sandy soil and the climate that's up there is like perfect for grape making. And
wow.
And yeah, it's kind of funny. Like so many of those wineries in Fredericksburg and stuff actually all get their grapes from up and around.
I had no idea.
That area.
Yeah. I mean, like
I didn't know it was 80%, but I knew it was like
high. Yeah.
I would have said like 40% or something like that.
Right.
But yeah.
So
interesting.
So again, like all of probably those amazing wines from Fredericksburg that we're used to, the Beckers and I'm not going to name a bunch of names and be totally wrong and be sued by these guys. But I bet they do have, if anything, a blend of
when you go there, ask them
Lubbock-based
where their grapes are, and they'll say they're Texas High Plains grapes.
High Plains
is what they'll tell you, which means they're from Lubbock.
That's amazing. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense to me. Obviously, being a humongous agricultural mecca of Texas, the Plains area in general. I know your stepfather is involved in that as well, right?
Yeah,
he's in agriculture, so you're something that hits very close to home with you. But I never would have, I'm thinking cotton.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, the main cash crops, right, that come from the West Texas area, but I never would have thought grapes. But obviously the best conditions you need, the limited information that I know about grapes is you need a very dry climate for them to really struggle.
Makes
and that's
sense.
how the best grapes, the best flavor comes from those grapes. And it sounds like Lubbock has the perfect conditions to produce 80% of our wine crop.
Not as pretty as Napa, I guess.
I guess not, yeah. A little less valleys and hills.
They had to take those grapes
and trees
and build wineries in the hill country to make it more.
I guess not. So what? Maybe we can close out with, you obviously live here in Austin, and how long have you lived here in Austin?
How long have I been here? Like 12 years, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So over a decade. What's been, and obviously you go back, you still have family in Lubbock. What's like the biggest, differences that you see between here or just kind of the rest of Texas that you visited compared to Lubbock, or what is something that like you really miss or something that you look forward to every time you go back to Lubbock?
Lubbock's one of those places, at least for me, like growing up, I couldn't wait to leave, to be honest. There's a joke, Lubbock or leave it kind of thing. It's very much a bubble, and you either stay there or you leave. And I was ready to get out of there. I thought it was despite all those experiences that music and all that you take for granted. Yeah. I was ready to get out and do other things. Loved like Central Texas, loved Austin, loved the rivers and hills and trees and green grass and all and what I thought was more live music, but apparently isn't. Things like that. So I was ready to like leave there. Kind of, touched on some of the, like, in my younger years, kind of rebelling against like some of the authority of like the intertwining of like your community, just like with church and school and very like structured, but still kind of lawless in some other ways. Just kind of
in the good ways,
in the good ways, but like just the kind of dichotomy of all that.
Sure.
But I was like excited to leave and go away and get out of there and see and experience more. But for me, like looking back, like now as an adult, being away from Lubbock almost as long as I lived there,
right?
It kind of puts it in perspective. Also being a father, and some of those values that are like instilled there. The people of Lubbock are like so friendly.
Right.
My wife still tells this story about we were dating, and the first time we went up to Lubbock, we got in and got in late because it's a 6-hour drive. And that next morning we went to eat breakfast somewhere, and we walked in, and 2 or 3 people walked up and said, "Hey, how are you doing? How you been?" And I said, "Oh, good. We just got into town and having us some breakfast. Good to see you." And kind of said hi, and they walked away. And Charlotte, my wife, was like, "Do you know them?" I was like, "No,
have no idea.
I have no idea who that was."
There you go.
And she always tells us like just friendly people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things that like for me, it took getting me away from Lubbock to like start to look back
really
and like appreciate the like simplicity of it, and like, and people say it's like desolate and flat and brown, but then like the sunsets and the thunderstorms
most
and like
beautiful sunsets,
like you start appreciating the like simplicity of the like beauty in the place and the people. And so I think it's a unique place. There's a lot of like very strong values around like family, and like it's still what I would hope to say is old school, and the fact that you can kind of let your kids run around the neighborhood and you don't have to worry about their safety and things like that. So I would say that's probably kind of like some of the unique. It's very like old school in a lot of ways too, like behind the times a little bit in some ways, but.
I mean, I think we've gotten to a place, and I will say I feel like Texas in general, I feel like we've done a great job of keeping to strong family, and family values, traditional values, which has made us this very strong state and made us a very, obviously we have tons and tons of people that are moving here every single day for a reason, right? It's very economical. It's just
thriving.
a really awesome place to live.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see that in probably some places, mainly the cities, right? The larger cities, where we've gone away from this, small town feel.
Yeah.
I feel like we still had that in Austin when I first moved here. Is you show up, you go to Cisco's on on Cesar Chavez, or Matt's El Rancho on Lamar, and you probably run into a few couples and be like, "Hey, how are you guys doing? Everything's good."
Right.
And you had no idea who they are, and unfortunately, I feel like that's starting to fade away a little bit. And so, even though you're saying that they're a little behind in the times, I think they're right where they need to be.
Still doing things right in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say this, even though I was hating on Texas Tech a little bit earlier in the episode here, the people of Lubbock are fantastic people.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy, I've been back for a wedding. I've been back for some friends' events. I look forward to going with you soon. I know you've asked me to go hunting a few times, and I'm trying to make that work.
Shoot some birds.
I'm making it work. But yes, I think the town itself and the area is fantastic. West Texas is one of my favorite parts to visit, period, in Texas. And I just really appreciate your perspective.
Yeah.
And sitting down with me today, sharing a ranch water and talking.
Yeah, it's
talking
fun
Lubbock.
Stuff. I could sit here and tell you random stories all
I know,
day,
right?
So.
Well, we're definitely gonna have you back.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk. We got lots of A&M stories. I think we can swap And I definitely want to hear, in future episodes, your perspective being involved in commercial construction of, what's been taking place in Austin and the changes and the incredible buildings that you guys are involved in. But we're going to keep the audience hanging on for that next episode. Okay?
Yeah, it'll be fun. Love to do it.
Well, thanks so much for jumping on and putting Texas on my mind with me, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Had fun.
All right. Appreciate it, man. All right.